All right, let's just get right into it. If you're a web developer, you know the feeling, that exhaustion that comes from just how complex everything has gotten. Well, today we're going to break down a pretty passionate and, yeah, a little colorful plea for a much, much simpler way of doing things. Think of it less like a technical manual and more like an intervention. And boom, there's our opening line. That kind of sets the tone, doesn't it? It's this perfect nod to all those angry tech manifestos we've seen. But right away, the author's making a promise. This is different. We're not here to just yell. We're here to actually show you a way out of the mess. You see, this whole thing isn't about being preachy or saying one tool is better than another. It's really framed as an act of empathy. It's coming from a place of seeing developers, people like us, just stuck in this endless cycle of complexity, wrestling with tools that were supposed to make our lives easier. And let's be honest, those angry blog posts can be fun to read, but they don't actually change how we build stuff, do they? This whole argument is different. It's a genuine attempt to show a path that could lead to less stress and, maybe a little more joy in the day-to-day work of coding. So, what's the core problem we're trying to solve? Well, the argument is that as developers, we're constantly being presented with this false choice, two options that, in their own way, both just lead to a whole lot of frustration. So on one side, you've got the just use HTML crowd, which is great. HTML is amazing. But let's be real, you almost always need some modern interactivity that plain old HTML just can't do. So you swing way to the other extreme, JavaScript framework purgatory. And suddenly, your package.json file is 1,000 lines long, your build takes 5 minutes, and you're having philosophical debates about state management for a simple contact us form. And this is where the solution comes in. The whole point is that there is a third way, a middle path that gives you all the cool dynamic stuff you need, but without the soul-crushing weight of a giant JavaScript framework. And that path is HTMX. Okay, so how does it work? The core idea is just shockingly simple. You take a normal piece of HTML, like a button. It makes a request to your server. Your server does its thing, and then it sends back just a little bit of HTML, not JSON, just plain HTML. And then HTMX takes that little snippet and swaps it into the page, right where you want it. That's it. That's the entire magic trick. And this is what it looks like in practice. It's just a button. It's HTML with a couple of extra attributes. HXPost tells it where to send a request. You could use HXGet to fetch data, for example. And HXSwap tells it how to put the response into the page. It's so clean, you can read it and instantly understand what's going to happen. There's no separate JavaScript file, no hooks, no lifecycle methods to worry about. This all leads to this really powerful concept they call locality of behavior. And what that means is, when you're looking at that button in your code, you know exactly what it does. You don't have to go hunting through 5 different JavaScript files trying to trace the logic. It's all right there. It makes things so much faster to build and way, way easier to maintain. Okay, so the theory sounds great, right? It's elegant, it's simple. But does this stuff actually work in the real world, on a real product? Well, let's look at the proof. There's a case study from a company called Context. They rebuilt their entire application, moving from React to HTMX, and the results, well, they speak for themselves. First up, and this one is just wild, they deleted 2/3 of their entire code base. 2/3. Just think about that. The total lines of code dropped from over 21,000 to just over 7,000. Less code means fewer places for bugs to hide, less stuff to maintain. It's just a massive win. Next up, dependencies. They went from 255 JavaScript packages down to just 9. That's a 96% reduction. That whole node_modules black hole with all the security risks and maintenance headaches that come with it, it basically just disappeared. And this last one, this is huge for just day-to-day developer happiness. Build times went from a painful 40 seconds down to a breezy 5 seconds. That's an 88% improvement. That's the difference between staying in the zone and getting completely distracted while you wait for your code to compile. I mean, these numbers aren't just small improvements, they're game-changing. Now, when you see numbers like that, you're bound to be a little skeptical, right? It sounds almost too good to be true. So the source anticipates this and tackles the most common objections head-on. And here it is, the big one. The question everyone asks first. For the last decade, we've all been trained to believe that every single web app needs some incredibly complex state machine running in the browser. But does it really? And here is the blunt, kind of funny, but often very true answer. Most of us are not building Google Docs. We're building CRUD apps that just create, read, update, and delete data. We have forms, we have tables, we have lists. The whole argument here is that we've started using these hyper-complex tools to solve fundamentally simple problems. Okay, so what's the next line of defense? It's always this one, the ecosystem. The idea that there are so many libraries and tools for something like React that it would be insane to give it all up. But the counter-argument just flips that completely on its head. It says, yeah, that massive ecosystem, that's the reason for all the bloat and complexity in the first place. That's why your project is a gigabyte before you've even written a line of code. With HTMX, the ecosystem is just whatever language you like on the back end. That's it. So after taking on all those big arguments, the whole thing shifts gears. It's not about trying to persuade you to rewrite your entire production up tomorrow. Nope. It's proposing a tiny, low-risk experiment, a little challenge. And this part is really important for credibility. This is not a magic wand that solves every problem. The author is super clear about where HTMX is not the right tool. If you're building a real-time editor like Figma or something that needs to work completely offline, this probably isn't the tool for you. But the real question is, how often are you actually building those things? So the challenge is dead simple. Just pick a tiny project, maybe a side project, add one single script tag to your HTML, find one little spot where you want to load something without a full page refresh, and add one single hxget attribute. That's it. That's the first step. Just see how it feels.
Because this is the real promise here. It's not just about a smaller code base or a faster app. It's about that light bulb moment, that moment of clarity where you look at all the tangled complexity you've been fighting with for years, and you just ask yourself, wait, why did I think any of this was necessary?